God.
Hold up, I hope y'all watching this shit.
First round, real quick.
But now we're gonna get a good. I thought he was a con artist, just based off his look. Holy shit! What the hell just happened?
What's up, motherfuckers? Welcome to G.W.R. Gonzo's Wrestling Room, Wednesday, December 8th, 2021. Got a big show planned today. Got special guest here with me, pro wrestler Travis Southern. How you doing today?
Good. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, no problem. I got to see you wrestle in Kokomo. Is that where you usually wrestle at, or is...
Yeah, ACW is one of my home bases. The other one is HCW in Mishawaka.
Okay.
Those are my two main ones that I work for. I have worked for Mike King and his federation.
Okay.
Hopefully getting ready to get back into that, because after what happened at the last show at ACW, there's a misunderstanding. I think we need to have a conversation. So hopefully I'll be showing up at his fed and have a little talk with him about what happened.
Mike King's how I got my start, actually doing the commentating and live streaming. He let me do. He was the first one to let me do it at his show, and then he's the one that got me there at Kokomo with the ACW.
Nice.
And then I got to go do WCWO, and I met Owens and them through Mike. So
yeah,
I'd like to see you in DCCW, because that's right down the road.
Yeah, no, I was actually at one time I was one of their tag team champs. So I've been part of it. There was a situation happened, but that's been rectified, and I'm ready to come back when Mike's ready to have me dominate DCCW again. So
how long has it been since you wrestled at DCCW?
It's been it'll be about just over a year and a half.
Okay.
So yeah, so there was like I said, there was a misunderstanding with somebody else that I was associated with, and but that's been taken care of now. So I'm ready to come back when he's ready for me. So
we might have seen you wrestle back then here in Muncie then, because we used to go to almost all their shows. If I didn't, I know my dad did.
Well, we wrestled as the Knights of the Squared Circle.
Okay.
So we came out, and so my tag team partner and I, we were the Knockout Society. Were the ones that beat us for the belts, and that was the last time that we were in that for DCCW. Okay. So, yeah.
How'd you get started in the wrestling business? Was you a fan of pro wrestling as a kid, or?
Oh yeah, I've been a fan for a long time, and actually it was pretty funny because I keep telling everybody it's circumstances that happen that you don't really think anything like that would actually happen to me. But I was going through a bad divorce at the time, and a friend of mine, he had started training, and he had asked to come to watch him wrestle. And he was like, it's my first match. I'm going to come. I've been doing this training for a couple months now, and I'm just in a battle royal, but just come and watch. And then when I went to it, I saw a lot of short back guys and tall skinny guys. And, I'm used to seeing everybody in WWF, WWE, WCW, that kind of stuff. So, none of these guys look like all those jacked up people. I mean, there was a few people that were in good shape, but a majority of them, they look like me.
You weren't seeing 6'5" guys that were 250 and they could athletic as hell.
You saw the 6'2" guys that weighed 100 pounds that would, thought they were super cool because they could do, a moonsault or something. So, so I talked to his trainer and started talking to him, and he said, "Yeah, if you wanna come in, we'll start, start training you." So the man who trained me was his name was Matt Bauman. His wrestling gimmick name was Mike Jesnowski, and he was trained by Dick the Bruiser Jr.
Okay.
Which Dick the Bruiser, I got that lineage of training. So for what I do, and then started in 2000. So I've been doing this for over 20 years
Oh,
now. So I like being able to say I wrestled in 3 decades. So so I do have a little bit of experience, and that's kind of one of the frustrating parts about dealing with guys like Christian Cash that have been doing it for a couple of years, and their mouths run are trying to write checks that their bodies can't cash yet, just because they don't have the experience. So, but we can get into that later. So,
uh, were you trained here in Indiana?
yeah, I was trained in um, Monroe, Indiana.
Okay.
Uh, he had his own little place that we trained, and I was, and I constantly trained. So, but I had to learn how to do things the right way, because I didn't really have the places where we trained weren't like actual school. I mean, which I
Yeah.
wish I had the opportunity to do that. But as I got more involved in the business, I actually got to go to places that were a little bit better equipped. But I was learning how to take bumps on a high school wrestling map or mat. So those aren't padded. So if you want to learn to take a bump and not get a concussion, you learn to take a bump properly, and that's where I learned to take my bumps at. So it was very nice to actually get in a ring and be able to train in a ring for after about the first 2 months
Oh, I
of
bet.
just nothing but a hard mat. So
Because I wrestled in high school. Them mats don't have no give to them. A lot people think all them mats are soft. No, go out there and get thrown on one. There's no give.
yeah, there's no good. There's cement and there's a little
Yeah.
bit of padding, and that padding is probably about 2 inches thick.
And
So
especially the old style wrestling mats that were only about an inch thick, maybe.
oh yeah,
Now you
for
got the
sure.
big foam ones, but back in the day, I'm sure the ones that you were on were the old ones. Yeah,
Yeah, so that for me, learning how to bump was a priority, because I landed wrong one time, and that was enough for me. So I made sure that I learned how to take the bumps properly. So that's the biggest thing that I can tell anybody is that, if you're going to do the training, just make sure you do the right stuff, and don't half-ass it.
what what was the hardest thing that, like about the training?
Just conditioning more than anything. I mean, this isn't something that I mean, your body's not used to doing this. So, I mean, I played football in high school. I played baseball growing up, played softball, and did a little bit of judo for a while. And that's probably the closest, because of the contact of, and then just the grappling and stuff and throwing. But the conditioning piece of it, yeah, you may only go 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes, but that was really the hardest part for me, was getting that conditioning piece down.
Yeah, and about the only way you can get that conditioning is by doing it.
Correct, and just over and over and over again, and it's now anymore it's just kind of muscle memory, and your body just knows.
Yeah,
Once you get in that ring, it knows what to do now. So, because I've been doing it for so long.
yeah. 'Cause I knew like in high school wrestling, I ran cross country before the high school season to try to get in shape, be in good shape.
Yeah,
But still, when you get in there, that first couple weeks of wrestling practice, still kick your ass because it's a totally different
totally
in
different.
shape.
Yep, for sure.
A lot of people don't understand that. Uh, from what I've seen, like I've been all the organizations I've been around so far, I've seen like a family. Is that
Mm-hmm.
how a lot of your experience has been, or? Because I've
Oh,
heard a lot of horror stories about independent wrestling, but I haven't. I mean, I haven't seen any of it. Everybody I've met's been great.
you have your, and it's more the promoters than anything else. There are some promoters that um, don't want the family aspect that you see in the locker room, because they don't want the guys to because we kind of outnumber them. So every fed that I've ever been in that has run for quite a bit. I mean, a lot of the guys I have no problems with, and it's one of those things where, I mean, you have a few bad apples that think that they're better than they are, and they want you to know that they are, but those are just one offs. But pretty much everybody in this, anybody that I've wrestled with, I mean, I love. for the most part when it comes to the wrestling family piece of it. Now, character wise, might be a little bit different, but back in the back, and if we once we leave the arena, that's completely different. But if you're talking, you know, it's actually one of the best places that I can. My best memories are being in the locker room with guys because if you travel the road with them and you're spending a car ride 2-3 hours back and forth to a show, and then you get to spend the time in the locker room and especially in this area, you work a lot of the same guys between northern Indiana, central Indiana, Ohio, Michigan. There's a core group that kind of hit all the same shows. And I've seen guys that are starting out, and I've seen guys that have made it to like AEW. There's a gentleman that works for HCW named Isaiah Moore, and he's actually worked a couple of AEW dark matches. So, that's actually something that, I can, proudly say, hey, that's the guy that, I've shared a locker room with, and then having the guys come in from, we've had legends come in at different shows, and those are always fun because they always, teach you something. You always learn something, sometimes good, sometimes bad. But it's always a learning experience.
Oh, what do you think the hardest thing for a new guy getting in the wrestling business is?
When I came up, it was all about paying your dues. And I know Shane was on there and he was talking about that, how some of the younger guys nowadays they don't think that it's a big deal for them to show some respect for guys that have been in business for a long time. And I was listening to Hogg's podcast, and he was talking about how if they were back in the day, they wouldn't have been able to make it. The biggest thing that I can tell people is in every podcast that you talk to, the wrestlers have said, just listen, shut up and just listen and soak in the knowledge of what people are trying to offer you, because knowledge is a wonderful thing to have. And a lot of kids these days, especially the younger ones, they think they know everything already, and they don't. I mean, it's something that you have to experience, and just by getting in a ring and being able to do some flips and hit somebody with a flaming chair, going through a flaming table or something like that. I mean, that's not what all wrestling is. So it's a storytelling. If you can, I'm not, you've seen me, I'm a bigger guy. I'm not the most chiseled, but I can tell a story in a match without having to do a bunch of flips or go severely hardcore unless it's really needed. One of the things that I really disappointed about in this past year is I got suspended from AACW, the show that they did, the Fans Bring the Weapons match. And I know that they talked to you about Christian and Brody and them guys.
Yeah.
That was the one show that, because I got suspended for that show and I wasn't able to be there, I wish I had been there, because I think the outcome would have been different than, Brody, being on the losing end and taking on two guys and he got the hell beat out of him. And I think that if I had been there, things would have been different. That's one thing I regret, that I let my actions the previous show not let me take advantage of that. So.
We have Christian's actually in the chat. He said Christian Cash is your role model, Travis.
He's my role model. Is that what he said?
Yeah, he said that he was your role model. And
yeah.
Then you got Marvelous Mr. Bill said Christian Cash has only been around for a cup of coffee and truly doesn't understand the art or the history of wrestling.
Yeah, if I was watching Christian's podcast the other day, and it's one of those things where I know it was a long podcast only because his internet connection kept dropping off. So I mean, it was really only like a 45-minute interview, but he kept cutting in and out, and really classy, Christian. Really, just want to make sure it's doing it in your car, I mean, that's good, but that's okay. You know, I saw how he was talking about how he wanted to be the next Rock. Well, you know, when you see Christian, he should be actually looking up to like Kevin Hart instead of The Rock. So that's more his level. So we'll just keep it at that. So
And got Chris Chaos in here. Said Cash is about to get dealt with. Justin Grubb is in here. He said that he knew he wanted to throw up. Now he knows why.
he probably saw himself in those pink camo. That's what it is. So
I'll tell you all. We had we came down to watch an AACW show or to do the commentary. That was the first time we'd ever been there, and the fans there were great. And we had a blast.
Kokomo is a blast to work in, and it's funny because 19 years ago, I think the very first match that I ever worked in Kokomo was actually against Hog in a tag team match. So that's kind of the history that we have. And the other thing that I did want to bring up, and I know Hog mentioned it about how Mike King ended his career and all this other stuff. I just want to set the record straight. The winning person on that team that made the final 10 was me. It wasn't Mike King. He might have had a help with it, but in the record book, it's going to show that I ended J.H. Hogg's career.
Say Travis Southern ended it.
Travis Southern was the winning competitor in that match. So they can talk about how Mike King ended it and all this other stuff, but it was Travis Southern that ended J.H. Hogg's career.
Yeah, Mike King's annex his annex don't go into the record books. The decision goes into the record books.
And that's everything that happened. If they hadn't brought him in, they might have won. You never know. If they would have had another competitor, but we'll never know because they decided that that's the way they wanted to go on their team and bring him in, and then that kind of turned around on him, I guess, a little bit. So, but oh well. Now Mr. Bell has the keys to the kingdom, and with the gold standard of me and Brody and Ty Maho, we can pretty much do what we want going forward. So
I'll tell you what, the crowd hates Bell.
Oh yeah,
man, he couldn't even hardly get his stuff off. He'd come back. He was getting so much heat.
But that's good though because he's the man in charge now. So if you can hate him all you want, but if you're somebody like me and Brody and Kai, I mean, we pretty much have the ability to do what we want now because Mr. Bell is kind of a fan of ours and we're a fan of his. So that's why it works out perfectly.
Is Kai a guy that are you training him or?
I'm working with him right now. He is just starting out. He is more of a backup plan for myself. Somebody that's I think right now that was his very first match in a ring. So he's been more of a bodyguard more than anything else. Eventually I see him getting into the ring, doing more. But at the time being, he's going to be just a bodyguard right now. So,
okay.
And he does a good job at it too. So.
Oh, I bet he's a big dude.
Yes, he doesn't like people calling him Maui though. So just remember that if you're going to be go to a show and he's there, he does not like that. So don't call him Maui.
Okay. Well, how's it pronounced?
It's Kai Maho.
Maho. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. Justin Grubb said Mr. Bell may be in charge for now. Christian Cash back on here too. I can't see what he says though.
I bet he's ramming a lot, so that's fine.
He said the marvelous Mr. Bell isn't worth a dead fly.
Well, that's fine, but he's the guy that's in charge now, so he must be worth something.
Yeah. I don't know what I've done there. So have you just wrestled in Indiana, or have you traveled out of state and wrestled? Or
Yeah, I've wrestled in Ohio. I've wrestled in Michigan. I've wrestled in Kentucky. I pretty much wrestle just in this area. Um, I have a lot of guys that are, they see themselves um, going further in the business, and I mean, I'm almost 50 years old, so I've done my time of seeing myself doing anything else other than this kind of stuff. This is more fun for me than anything else, and I do want to help the guys that I feel are talented, and help them. I wanted to help them get to the better places where they want to go. That's why, like right now, working with Brody, I really feel that Brody Botkins is the man in wrestling, whether it be Indiana, Ohio, Michigan, and Midwest. He has the potential to be as good as he wants to be. And Christian Cash wants to talk about how I'm going to stab him in the back. I have absolutely no reason to do that because I really feel that Brody Botkins is the man that can go as far as he wants to in professional wrestling.
Yeah, I like Brody. I think Brody's real good. We've seen him a couple times at WCWO, and of course we see him there in AACW.
Yep, and he's a talented guy, and he's focused. And unlike a lot of the younger guys, he knows what he wants, and he wants to do this. So there is absolutely no reason why I would ever turn on him, only because I want to see him do well, and I want to be able to say, even if I'm not wrestling anymore, I had a hand in helping that guy get to where he's at. I don't want to take any credit because that's all on him. I just want to be able to say to myself, hey, when I look at him, I can say, he did great things, and I was a part of helping him get to there. Not that I had any control over what he does because he does it all on his own, but I want to be a part of his greatness.
Um, who were the guys that you kind of got your style from, that you maybe looked up to as a kid and maybe molded your when you got into the business?
My favorite wrestler of all time is Mick Foley. So
That's
when
a
he was
good one.
in WCW is Cactus Jack. I grew up watching Cactus Jack Manson, and then he went to ECW. I really wasn't a fan of like the hardcore stuff, like the death matches. I mean, I understand it, and I can watch it. I would rather watch him be like Mankind and the Cactus Jack more in the WWE, because I kind of like the combination of the fact that he could do the wrestling, he could do comedy. I mean, just the fact that no matter once he got on a microphone, he had control of the entire arena, and he could say whatever he wanted to, and people would just fall.
Oh yeah.
And just follow him and do whatever they want, and it was just amazing. So I liked him. I love Bret Hart. I personally love tag team wrestling, so the Hart Foundation was a big influence on me. Demolition was a big one, and some of the newer tag teams. I like some of the newer ones that are out there. So I like being able to be entertained, and so those guys, anybody that can do like interesting matches. I always think that anytime that there's like the 5-on-5 Survivor Series matches, steel cage matches where there's like the elimination chambers, any kind of that kind of stuff, anybody that gets in those kind of matches, I enjoy. So that's kind of my thing. The more the merrier. Royal Rumble's probably my favorite of the WWE matches, just because I like seeing what they're going to do next. So
yeah, Royal Rumble's one of my favorite because you're always waiting to see who the next guy is going to be, because they usually bring back some of the older guys, and
they always have a surprise. So yeah, when the year that AJ came out, I completely lost it because I had no idea that he was going to be there, and my wife was like, "Wow!" I said, "I've never seen you get excited about that." I was like, "It's AJ Styles." I mean, you'd never think to see him in the WWE, and when he finally hit the his music played and he came out, man, I lost it just sitting here watching it in my living room.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah, he's a guy that should have been in WWE way before that.
Oh, for sure.
And I'll be honest, I wasn't a big fan of his when he was in TNA, so I didn't follow TNA a lot. Yeah. And then when he came to WWE, I watched him wrestle Jericho. It was like one of his first or second matches, and I was like,
Yep, at WrestleMania.
yeah. And I was like, yo, hey, this dude's he's a dude.
Yep.
'Cause him and him and Jericho's style just match up good together too.
Perfectly. Yeah, I was watching when TNA first came out when they were doing their weekly pay-per-views. So I was watching all of those and watching him and Christopher Daniels and the Amazing Red and for the X Division stuff. That was what drew me into watching that because I like the action of that better than I did anything that at the time that because after that it wasn't really the Attitude Era anymore, so it was kind of slowed down. So it was more of the Batista and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And not my cup of tea. I'd rather see some people that can actually wrestle and just power guys. So
yeah, I had to suffer through some of that era with Batista and them guys because that's when my son was a little kid, and he loved it. So I'd take him to shows, but we'd go to a lot of independent shows as well.
Yeah. So that was at that area. That's when I was actually doing. That was my thing at the time, was doing the independent stuff too. So that was where I was actually enjoying it more than anything else, being able to watch the guys that I know personally, be able to watch them wrestle and stuff. So
that's what I try to tell people. I'll try to get them to go to like an independent show or watch, and they're like, "Oh, I like that WWF." I said it's totally different than watching on TV. Go to a show and sit and watch it, and I guarantee you're going to be entertained. There's something for everybody at an independent wrestling show, and the atmosphere is different than going into a big arena and sitting way up at the top. Meaning that
you can go to a show and spend 20, 30, $40 for tickets and popcorn and stuff like that at an independent show, and get to actually meet the wrestlers. You can help them out by buying a T-shirt. You can buy, if they have an autographed picture, that we will actually entertain you more than just doing a wrestling, because you never know who's going to be the next guy that comes out of an independent show and shows up in AEW or WWE. So why not take that opportunity and get to know them now?
Yeah.
Before they hit it big, because there's a lot of people in this area that are super talented, and you might as well take the opportunity now and see them when you can say, I remember when they were wrestling in Kokomo or Mishawaka or Logansport or something like that. So you can say, I remember that. And a lot of people, it's a big deal.
Yeah, we went to a show in Indianapolis probably 12, 13 years ago. It was I think it was the Insanity Pro Wrestling, if I remember right. But we saw Bryan Danielson there. John Moxley was there.
Yep.
Drake Younger was there, which he went to WWE too, ended up becoming a referee. But like Bryan Danielson, that was the Saturday before he was debuting on Raw. And then like a month later, Moxley was on there as Dean Ambrose, and it's like, man, we just saw these guys a couple of weeks ago, a couple of months ago in Indiana at a little independent show.
Yeah,
and it was one of the best independent shows I've ever been to. I mean,
you just never know. That's the awesome part about independent wrestling, especially nowadays, is you have no idea who's going to show up and make it big.
Yeah, and that's something I'll always remember. That hey, I got to see Daniel Bryan before he was a big star, or Moxley, and I mean, I love going to independent shows. We've been going down to WCW almost. We try to go every Friday if we can, but it's hard to get down there every Friday. But it's nice. It's fun to go to. For $12, you can't beat it.
I am really impressed with the fact that they have been able to run a weekly show for as long as they have, because there's not. Normally if you can get a show fed to run once a month is amazing. So like AACW had a schedule; they were running once a month for the entire year, and I thought that was oh my God, we're going to run once a month. We'll be able to do storylines. We'll be able to tell these amazing stories. And then WCW is running every Friday night. I mean, you got to give it to them. That's amazing.
And when you have the storylines, it makes it a lot easier for the fans to get into it.
Oh, for sure, especially if it's something they can get behind.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's why people don't understand. It's not just going in there about going in there and doing a bunch of moves. I don't care.
Nope.
I'd rather just see 2 or 3 moves if you're telling a good story.
Yep. So that's how I look at it. I have a couple, like in my move set. I have a couple big ones that I like to hit, that are kind of my thing. But I would rather tell a story than do anything else. So I'll let everybody else, if they want to, they can do all the athletic stuff they can do, and that's fine. But I don't. If you can tell a story, you can get away with doing a lot less stuff. And it's a lot less wear and tear on your body too.
Yeah. And guys,
Yeah.
younger guys don't think about that because the stuff you're doing when you're 20, 25, you're not going to be able to do when you're 45, 50.
I've actually went back and watched some of my older matches and seen some of the stuff that I've done, and I'm just like, oh man, there's no way I could do that now. So my bump card's almost full, and I have to save them for when they really matter. So, but when you're young, man, you think you can do anything and everything.
And some of the stuff that you done back then probably took some time off of your career because just doing stuff that you probably shouldn't have been doing.
Oh yeah, I can pretty much guarantee that. So.
And the chat thing just blew up. Marcus Fine said he agreed with what we was talking about on there, and then you got Chris Chaos and Christian Cash were talking all kinds of crap.
Shocking.
Yeah, Christian said he said that you done the same, that you were talking about Christian the same way right before you screwed him, so you're going to do the same to Brody.
Oh, see, Christian wants to believe that he's in Brody's level, and he's not. Christian is a very talented individual. I'm not going to take anything away from him. And he's going to hate this because I knew he brought it up the last time. But when I finally decided to break ranks with Christian, I finally just got to the point where I got tired of him, talking and not being able to back up everything that he talked. I tried to get him in and be that mentor for him, and he didn't want to focus the way that he needed to focus to be the best performer in wrestling that he could be. He is a very talented individual. He is multi-talented. He is a singer. He is an actor. He is a wrestler. But he is a jack of all trades, but he is not great at one thing. He's good at a lot of things, not great at one. He didn't like the fact that I was trying to focus him to focus on the wrestling piece of it. And when I got to the point where I had reached my breaking point to where I couldn't deal with it anymore, that's when I decided, dead weight needs to be taken care of. And I left him laying in the middle of the ring. I hit him with a Knight's End, left him there, and then Justin Terrell decides to come in, Jay Chog decides to come in, and they're going to scoop him up, and they're going to groom him going forward. And Christian, he decided that he was gonna get focused, and Jay Chog is like, okay, you've done such a great job. I'm going to give you a championship title match against Travis Southern. And Christian took 2 weeks out of his entire life. He took 2 weeks to prepare, where something I've been doing for 20 years. He took 2 weeks and decided that he was going to focus on one thing. And he came so close in that 2 weeks that he almost beat me for the heavyweight title for AACW. He almost beat me. He came up short because of something else that was happening that I had no control over outside the ring. But that's the point that I was trying to make to him all along, that if he had focused that entire time and not been a rapper, not been a dancer, not been an actor, and if he had focused on being nothing but a wrestler, he could have been a world champion a long time ago. Him and Justin Terrell just won the tag titles at AACW. That's his first title, and he could have been a champion a lot sooner than what he is right now. And if it took me to beat him up and leave him laying in the middle of the ring for him to finally realize the potential that he has, he just needs to stop talking. Just wrestle. If he just wrestles, he's a made man. He can do whatever he wants. But he wants to talk and that's all he wants to do, and he can't back it up yet. So I'm not saying he's still a young kid. He has the opportunity, but he needs to focus more, and he didn't like the fact that that's what I was trying to get him to do.
Uh, Chris Chaos says word on the street is Mr. Southern here has taken Chaos under his wing. And Christian Taylor said, "I hope so. Maybe you'll be better." So
Hey, if anybody wants the, I have a lot of knowledge that I'm willing to give out to anybody that's wanting to that wants to take it. And if Chris Chaos wants that information, I'll be more than happy to help him with it. So it's all he has to do is ask, and I know that he's been sending out some feelers, and that's fine. But he's got to be able to back it up too. It's not for free. So I mean, if he really wants it, I'll be more than happy to give it to him. But don't waste the opportunity. That's all I'm going to say.
What's the biggest match that you would say you probably have had, or maybe like one that sticks in your head, maybe one of your favorites?
Well, I have a couple of them. This past year, up in Michigan for HCW, I was able to wrestle Conga Kong, okay. and I ended up, I got my ass kicked, but I was able to pull out a victory against him. So for me, that just the fact that Conga Kong is somebody that I've looked up to for a long time, and with everywhere that he's been, to be able to have a match with him like that, and I don't know how I did it, but I came out with it just kind of worked out in my favor, and I was able to get a win over that. But for me personally, that was that. But the best match that I've ever had, that I feel like is something that I can watch back over and over again, is I had a match with Troy Miller, and in Kokomo, and at the time there was another promotion that was running like a legend show, and they would bring in people, and I happened to be the champion at that time and was facing Troy, and I had Daphne as my manager, and she came out with me in that match. And but from pure wrestling, that match for me personally was my greatest match that I've ever had. And then so I can look fondly back on probably those two would probably be my two best favorite ones. I'm not gonna lie, I love working Christian. He does bring out something in me that just wants me to work harder, and just to beat the shit out of him, because he just wants to run his mouth so bad, and I just want to shut it up for him, and he just doesn't know when to stop. But it brings out something in me that just wants me to work harder. So, and I appreciate that from him, because I like that.
Have you done both heel and babyface? I'm sure you have, as long as you've been in.
The funny thing is, I'm actually a face in HCW. So I go by the man called Southern up there, and I go by Travis Southern, the Southern Shooter down in AACW. So I actually go both. I can play both sides of the fence. So I have the opportunity to be able to do both. So it's fun, because I don't get pigeonholed into one thing. So I can be a jackass bad guy and make the people hate me, but then I can also get the cheers. And it just depends on which fed I'm working at.
I'm saying probably switching it up a little bit probably keeps it a little fresh for you, where you don't get burnt out from doing the same thing. Or same thing over and over.
I have two separate gimmicks for both characters, so I'm not the same guy when it comes to both characters. So I have completely I have different shirts, different outfits. I have different ring attire when I come out, so to both of them. And it's fun. It's nice to have that, to be able to go back and forth and be believable doing it. So some people can't do it, some people can. So it's nice when you can do it. So.
Which do you think is harder to do?
Oh, being a baby is harder to do. Anybody can get cheap heat. I mean, you can be a bad guy, and normally when you start out, unless you're super talented, being a bad guy is the easiest thing to do. But if you get better and people see your work, they fall in love with you, and they'll turn you and tell you when it's time to go face. And when it's time, if you do it, man, it can be a beautiful thing. So it just takes the right
Gotta be patient with it.
circumstances. Yeah. So, but it's the right circumstances. If something happens, like Christian people hated him until a circumstance, me, finally decided I didn't want him anymore. All of a sudden, here comes the babies. Oh, we're gonna coddle you, and we're gonna take care of you, and we're gonna make you one of us. And between him and Justin and Hog, they were Hog's two golden boys. So now he's a favorite. But in the beginning, people hated him, but now he's a baby face, and everybody loves him.
Oh, when did you know that wrestling was what you wanted to do?
The minute that I actually got into the ring, the very first match that I did, when I got in there, and it's a different experience. It's a different kind of energy than anything I've ever felt before when it comes to, doing any kind of thing of extracurricular activities, because you can have a job and you have your family life and you have everything else, but if you want to do something extra in your life, the minute that I stepped into the ring and to hear the reaction of the crowds, and if you can get a reaction, whether it's a good or bad, it just electrifies you. I mean, you just get this feeling that just goes through your body, and it's just an amazing thing. And then it's one of those things where I know that it's getting to the time where I'm not going to be able to do it much longer. So I enjoy every second that I'm actually inside the ring, whether I'm working a match or just standing there. There's lots of times when I sit there and listen to Brody cut a promo, and just being in the ring and listen to somebody like him talk and cut down whoever that he's going against. I mean, it's a feeling you can't really replicate unless you've actually done it or you've actually go in and do it. So when you guys do the podcast, I mean, when you guys are watching a live show and you're doing a podcast, you get that feeling. That's kind of the same thing. I mean, you get that excitement because you're there and you're and you're doing something. You're not just watching. You're actually talking about it, and you're able to express your feelings to everybody else because of the podcast. So it's a little bit different than just being a fan sitting there watching the story unfold in front of you.
I think
you kind of, I was gonna say, you kind of get the same kind of feeling that we kind of get. So
yeah, I think that's kind of why a lot of people have liked our commentary too, because that's what we are. We're fans, and you're getting the normal reaction that you'd get if I was sitting right here at my house watching it.
Yep. I mean, it's not, you're not somebody that knows all the moves, and you're not going to say, oh, this guy, you're not going to be a Jim Ross, or you're not going to be a Tony Schiavone, you're not going to be any of that kind of stuff. You're just a guy watching a show, and you're just enjoying yourself, and you get the excitement because watching the rebroadcast, with the show of you guys doing the podcast, I saw the excitement when you guys would be like, oh, you guys are jumping up and you guys are screaming between the 3 or 4 of you guys that were there at the time. You guys all got excited, and we love that, and we want that more. We want those people to be excited. So when you guys doing it, it's helping everybody else because we see it in the ring when the fans get excited, and that just gives us more juice to be able to do stuff.
Yeah, that's what about all the pro wrestlers that we've talked to and have came on here have said that they like when they go back and watch it back, they like our energy and the way because we're into it. And
of course. I mean, why wouldn't you?
Because they'll say, "Well, thanks for selling that match so good." I was like, "I wasn't selling it. That was what my actual thoughts of the match were." It's not.
Yeah, I mean, if you didn't like it, you wouldn't be excited. So,
no,
I mean,
sitting in a chair, kind of talking boring, and
yeah. So you're just like waiting for the next match to come out. Hopefully, this guys will actually do something. So, and we know if a match isn't going well, we can tell, and it's just one of those things of you got to be smart enough to be able to make changes on the fly.
When you're in the back, When you're in the back, can you get a pretty good gauge on the crowd before you even ever come out, just by the sounds and stuff you hear from other matches?
Oh yeah, for sure. So especially the guys that'll come back and go, "Oh, the crowd's hot," or "Oh, to be careful of," and they might point out certain people that'll be like, "Oh, you definitely want to if you're gonna mess with somebody, mess with that person over there, or mess with those kids, or do whatever, something like that." They everybody helps each other because if we get a response, it's just going to make everybody else better. So
Yeah.
but yeah, definitely, you definitely can tell.
Now, is there a lot of that goes on? Like a guy, like say you're the people before the match before a couple before yours, will they come back and give you tell you about the crowd? Does that happen a lot?
Sometimes yes, but you can also do one of those things where, so some guys will ask you to watch their match, and then so you can kind of pick up, like if you're watching their match, if you kind of see the crowd reaction, you can actually pick up some of that stuff that if you want to know, it's like, hey, how's the crowd? They'll tell you. It's not like it's going to be a secret to where they don't want you to have a better match or anything, because they want you to entertain.
Yeah, if somebody is if they ask you to watch a match, or they want you to watch it and then give them your feedback on it.
Yep.
Okay.
So I've had like Chris Chaos. He's one of those guys that he's asked me to watch his matches in the past. Christian, when we were working together, I'd watch his matches and kind of tell him things that he needed to work on or what he did well, stuff like that. So yeah, I have people ask to watch my matches because I want to know how it went, and if there's something that I can do better, or if something got over, I want to make sure that I either know that what went well, and then B, what didn't go well, so I don't do it again. Mm. But that's just being a better performer and wanting to be better at your craft. It's the same way with you guys running a podcast. If something doesn't work, you're not going to keep doing it. So yeah.
If it's not working, there's no reason to waste your time with it. You can put that energy towards something else that's going to work.
Exactly.
Who's some of the legends that you've got to meet? Have your experiences with meeting the legends, has it been pretty good experiences, or?
Oh yeah, that's one of the nice things about running some of the shows in this area. Got to meet. I got to be managed by Rikishi. I've got to be managed by Sonny. That was awesome. Daphne was a great one. Meeting Road Warrior Animal, doing a seminar with him at AACW, and then having him actually critique my match was astounding, because some of the things that he told me, it felt good hearing it from him. So somebody that's been in the business for as long as he has, and I know there's some stuff that I didn't do well, but the things that I did do well, he did make sure to point that out to me. And
that makes you feel good that somebody noticed it.
Exactly. And then, the fact that, he's no longer with us, it's just that's something that I have in my, in my memory, I'm always going to have that. So yes, the Honky Tonk Man is really good. King Kong Bundy, Coco Beware. All these guys that have been at the different shows that have been, and be able to sit there and talk to them, they have experience that I will never get, because I'm never going to make it to WWE. I'm never going to make it to AEW, or TNA. I'm never going to, or Impact, sorry. I'm never going to make it any of that stuff. I know that, but just to have that experience of being able to talk to somebody that has, and get those stories, and to just that knowledge, is something that I'm always going to have, and nobody can ever take that away from me. Yeah. So it's amazing.
I've heard that I didn't get to meet him in person, but I heard that Road Warrior Animal was an awesome dude.
He's amazing.
Everybody that's met him and I've talked to, everybody talks about how great of a dude he was.
Oh, for sure. And we got doing a seminar with him, and just to be able to literally sit at his feet and have him talk and just tell stories and be able to give us knowledge that he had. That's something that you can't just get by watching like a shoot interview or something like that, because it's personalized, because I'm asking him a question and he's telling me something that out of his life. So it's completely different. But and then there's people that are sitting next to me asking him, different questions that I never might not have thought about, and be able to just be, oh yeah, damn, I wish I would have thought of that, and then be able to listen to that. It's amazing. So if you ever get to go to seminars like that, and just and not even the ones that where they can work out in a ring with them, just to go and listen to them, they're worth every penny that you can put in. So I mean, all the money that I have ever spent going to those type of things, they're well worth it, for sure.
Yeah, I would think there were. I know Boogeyman was supposed to do one at that DCCW event, and then it ended up getting where he couldn't do it. But I got lucky enough one night to get to sit outside. We were helping trying to save a community center here in Muncie, and we were doing a pro wrestling show. And Jason Maples, we got a hold of him, and he was helping us with it. But Jake the Snake Roberts was on the card, and I got to sit out. I sit outside the community center with him probably for about an hour. He was sitting out there smoking a cigarette, just talking, and him telling stories. And it's like, dude, that's something I'm gonna remember forever.
Yeah.
And then
that's that experience that you're getting from that. That's always going to be, whenever anytime anybody mentions his name, that's the first thing that's going to pop up is, oh hey, I sat down and had a cigarette with him.
That and
talked for an hour.
That when I was a little kid, I got to hold the snake at Market Square Arena. We were like at aisle seats, and he held him up and was letting us all touch him and stuff. So I was like, damn, I got to do that. And then later on in life, I actually met him.
See, isn't wrestling amazing?
Oh, yeah, and well, just like you were talking about telling stories. Well, we rode up to that show in Kokomo. We rode up there with Mike King and Roger, the other guy that was with us, and just listen to Mike King tell stories all the way up there and then all the way home. Like, I had a blast doing that.
Yeah, that's what I love about doing shows with other guys, and you have to carpool, because the conversations are never boring, and the time flies.
I was gonna say, it makes the ride seem a lot quicker.
Oh, for sure. And I know Mike King's got a ton of stories, so he would be a good guy to ride along with. So
yeah, he called us. Sure. You want to? Because we didn't even know he was coming up there to do that show till the Friday before.
Oh, dang.
Mike was talking to Justin that Friday night, and he mentioned us to Justin, and next thing I know, Mike messaged me and said, hey, do you want to do a show tomorrow? I was like, sure. And he said, well, we can just all ride together. I'll come by and pick you guys up. I'm like, all right. And
that was great for you guys.
Yeah. So I said, my experience in the wrestling business, I've always been a fan of it, but then starting to do this, all the people I've ran into, I've been lucky. Everybody's seemed like real good people. And
yeah. I mean, you have your ones, but that's anywhere that you go. But 99% of the guys, if you get, like doing this kind of stuff, man, they're all great guys. Just some of the personalities can rub you the wrong way. So, but other than that, I mean, then you got guys like Christian Cash. Though, but other than that,
I think we've probably interviewed probably about 25, 26 independent wrestlers now.
Yeah.
And then
so I mean, so how has it been? Have they all been pretty good?
Yeah.
Yeah. See.
Yeah, I had no problem with anybody. Everybody I've had, I've invited back. And I've had a couple people that's been back. Well, Blake Money Wright's going to be on later tonight. He came on back when we first started. So we're going to have him back on tonight. And then a bunch of the AACW guys have came on. There's still a few of them that are going to come on, just haven't got them scheduled yet.
No, for sure. So I mean, we love promoting our business. I mean, we want people to come out, and if you're giving us the opportunity to promote ourselves and then the companies that we work for, it's a win-win for everybody. I mean, you're a fan, and we want you to stay a fan. So I don't know why anybody would not take this opportunity that you're giving us, and I greatly appreciate the fact that you allowed me on. And especially to come after Christian Cash. But to be able to come out and talk about this stuff, man, I love wrestling. I love being able to talk about it. I love being able to hype it up. And I got people that will joke around about it with me that I still do this, but I love it, man. This is great. I mean, how can you not enjoy something that you love and not do it?
Yeah. It's like my dad. My dad doesn't miss a show. He watches Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. He probably finds something that's on Thursday he can watch. Watches Friday. But I mean, he works third shifts. Like on Mondays, now he has Mondays off, but used to on Mondays he'd watch Raw till he had to go to work. Well, then he would DVR the rest of it, so he'd watch it in the morning when he got home before he went to bed. And he's still like he don't miss a show.
Nothing wrong with that.
And then now I started doing these independent things, and now he goes to all of them with me because he just wants to watch the wrestling.
Well, that's great. I mean, and it's something that you guys are doing together too, which is amazing. So that's great.
One of the coolest things I've seen so far since we've been doing this was we was down at WCWO, and we were going to stream live for a benefit show they were having, but it was on a Sunday. When we got there, they were doing training, and we were setting up, and Jake Oman was there, and he was the one running the training. I'll tell you what, man, I was impressed. Me and my dad both we were sitting there watching as I was hooking things up, and we were both like, man, we were impressed.
Yeah, Jake Omens is one of those guys that I don't know why he isn't in another company, a bigger company.
I keep saying, he should have a contract somewhere.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I've actually got to work with him in a match, and for me personally, it was one of those things where I've always thought that I felt bad because I didn't feel like I did a very good job working him in the match. And then I actually just happened to watch. I found this old VHS of it, and I started watching it, and I actually had a decent match, and he is just as good back then as he was, and I actually don't feel bad that I sucked it up as bad as I thought I did. But yeah, Jake Owens is one of those guys that I just I don't know why he isn't better than bigger name than he is, because he deserves it.
I remember watching him probably 15, 16 years ago. My son was young then. My son's 21 now. I remember watching him then and then getting to see him now. And it's like, man, yeah, how does he not have a contract?
But for sure, he's a great guy, and he's humble, and he knows that he's good, but he doesn't let it go to his head, which is amazing because he's been all over the world. So how can somebody like that not be a great guy? And there's no words of how amazing he is. I mean, I love watching him work, and I love talking to him. So
yeah, he's gonna come on the show.
Is he?
Yeah. I talked to him at that WCW thing, and he's going. We're just working on a date because he's so busy. But once he has a little bit of time off, he said he would come on the show. So I'm looking forward to that.
That'll be a good. Yeah, that'll be a good one for sure. So.
Have you had any crazy? You got any like crazy fan stories? Have you had any crazy things happen with fans? You've been around a long time.
Not anything where, I mean, I've actually had one of the shows in AACW. I had a guy that him and his girlfriend or wife or something were very not very happy with me, and I had to go to the bathroom, and you know where the bathrooms are in that building, and I had to walk by them to go to it, and both of them were talking very negatively about me, and it made me think about not going back out there. But I at least had one of the security guys stand over there. But the best one I had is we had a fan that decided that she wanted we had a young guy that had just started. His name was Jinx, and it was only like he'd only been in the business like less than a year, and this girl wanted everybody to sign her boobs, and so all of us, signed the top of the cleavage, and there was no more space. So she's like, well, and Jinx is like, we saved him for last, and then she's like, well, I have these other spaces, and she pulled down her top, and there she was exposed. But he got to sign everything else, so that actually made his night. So that was she was excited because she got everybody's autograph. So, but yeah, there's always fun things like that. So.
Oh yeah, that Kokomo crowd, they had me going because there was a couple little kids that had turned around, and one of the guys that came over and did set with us told them to fuck off and was flipping them off. I'm like, you can't be no older than 10 years old.
Oh, the little girls that were sitting in front of you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They are very, very fond of the talking to the wrestlers. So yeah, they come to every show. So they're fans. They're for sure fans.
Yeah, we had a lady, Hollywood House was sitting with us on commentary at DCCW on a match, and this lady came over here and was just started cussing him, and he looked up at her and he goes, "Lady, I'll knock out your ugly tooth," and I just busted out laughing, and we were live, and and our camera guy had cut off the match and had it on camera. I didn't know that at the time. But yeah, it was.
But when you watch it back, it was pretty funny. Right? Yeah.
It was like, man, some of these people, hey, but it's good. I mean, that's what you want. You want a reaction.
In independent wrestling, you never know what you're going to get. So it's always going to be something interesting.
Oh yeah. You said you won't have no more matches till after first of the year.
Yep. Taking the rest of the year off right now. Was thinking about doing something, but I'm trying to recover for some small aches and pains. You know, when you get to my age, there's some things that are always nagging. So I want to be fresh for next year. So I want to make sure that I'm ready to go for when the first of the year rolls around.
Sorry.
It's okay.
All right. But yeah, AAC, you've wrestled at AACW, and you said HCW is the other main one you wrestle at. How's the crowd up there?
Good. It's a different type of crowd, but they're very loud. They enjoy the wrestlers that show up. We have it's a different roster, so it's different talent. But the fans up there are I would say almost as rowdy as the AACW one. It's little bigger venue, so it's not as I know Shane always likes having the smaller crowds to make it feel more intimate. I kind of like working the bigger crowds too, the bigger venues, because you can do more stuff. Even if there's not as the crowd is more sparse because they're not all congested in one spot. It's still about the same amount of people that are actually in the building, but you can do more things because there's more room to work, which is nice. So, but they're about the same. They're just different, but the same. I mean, that's basically the best way I can say it. So, I mean, they're still wrestling fans, and they're smart wrestling fans, just like AACW. So, I mean, it's basically like being in the same place. So.
Okay, yeah, I think we're going to. Well, yeah, you gave me them names. I'm gonna try to get all of them guys because I want to go up there.
I'll get you the dates. I'll send it to you and let you know. But yeah, you guys definitely need to come up because it's the guys that we have working at those shows are a different breed too. So you will definitely enjoy it for sure. So
I know, and Calcer talked like he's gonna bring us back up to Kokomo when you guys start doing shows there again.
Good. So yeah, I think you guys, like I said, you guys brought a different vibe to the show, and I really enjoyed that. So some of the guys that were working in HCW, they were watching the podcast, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I wish that we could do something like that," you know, because they do a live stream on Twitch, but they don't really do the commentary. But we do. HCW does a YouTube show where they take the shows and then do commentary that way, where it's
like re-air it.
Yeah, they re-air it with commentary and stuff, and they have very good editing skills, and then the shows look very professional. So it's HCW Insurrection.
Okay.
It's on YouTube. So if you ever want to watch any of the shows, they have a lot of episodes. So I would definitely check that out.
You said Insurrection?
Insurrection, HCW Insurrection.
Okay. That's on YouTube?
It's on YouTube.
I'll check that out here in a little bit.
Yeah.
I've been watching a lot of especially after we started doing this, because I want some of the guys I haven't seen wrestle that are going to come on and stuff. I want to kind of watch so I can kind of know something about them before we talk. So I've been watching a lot of independent wrestling.
There's a lot out there for sure. So
if I'm not watching football, it's usually I'm watching either independent wrestling or I love the WW network, so I can watch all the old stuff.
Yep.
I can go back and watch Stone Cold and all that stuff.
Yeah, anymore. And I mean, I'm really into AEW. I watch it every week. I watch it Wednesdays. I watch it on Fridays, and I watch the Dark. But that's really, for me, that's more of the entertainment aspect of it, of the wrestling side of it, than I do for WWE. It's really hard unless there's a major storyline or something like Edge coming back or Brock coming back. It's really hard to get into it. NXT was about the closest that I would follow on a regular basis until they changed it up. Once they went to the 2.0, I just can't get into it.
I like watching the NXT UK. Because it's close. It's closer to what the Black and Gold used to be.
Yep. More hard hitting and stuff.
See, that's all. I like that hard hitting style. I like it when you punch somebody. I like it to look like, hey, you just knocked the fuck out of that dude. It's not.
Yep.
And that's what my dad's always been a fan of. So we you know what I mean, when we go to shows together and stuff. So it's just that's what I grew up on.
And there's nothing wrong with that. If that's what you like, that's what you like. So everybody has their own taste.
But honestly, I can watch any of it. Only thing I don't like is like if you go to a show or you even see them do it sometimes in the big companies, and there'll be like 2 or 3 matches in a row, and they basically all look the same. Mm-hmm. It's like oh, come on, we can do better than that.
Yeah, you can only have so many nut shots in a row to where it gets okay. This is kind of boring. So and I don't know how many times you can super kick somebody in every match. So luckily I don't have to worry about that because I can't do a super kick. Did you watch the our whole show of the Kokomo show? Yeah.
Because my cousin he mentioned about the low blows. He said, man, that's a popular move around here, and he's not a wrestling fan, so he didn't even realize what he was saying. He just said, "Oh, that's a popular move around here," and he was thinking as a compliment. Yep. And me and my dad are both thinking like, "Dude, that's like this is the second match. There's already been 3 of them."
Yeah, that's one of the things that I think when we're talking about producing stuff like that, having a little bit more better flow for the matches and say, okay, so how is whoever's producing the matches and say, okay, are you going to do this? Or are you going to do this because it's being done in this match for storyline purposes, not just to tell them, just not to have them move in a match. Yeah. So I mean, it can be better. So I mean, that's just something that it'll get better with some of the newer guys that are in AACW. So,
one thing I've noticed, a lot of the guys don't have the cards ready till about 5 minutes before showtime.
And unfortunately, that's the problem that we have with independent wrestling is sometimes you can't help that because people will, car break down or something else comes up or kids are sick or like the last time at the last show that you were at, our heavyweight champion wasn't there because wife was having a baby. So, it's hard to pick, well, I should probably go to this match or I should probably be there for the birth of my child.
Oh yeah.
So that kind of thing, it happens. And Shane does a really good job of managing the show the best that he can with the talent that he has that are there. So I mean, there's been many a time when we didn't realize we didn't have the matches set up because we had 20 wrestlers that were supposed to be there and only 12 showed up. So we had to manage things. So it's it's the joys of independent wrestling, and that's all it is. So
it's been at almost every organization.
Mm-hmm.
And because they'll give me the card, and I'm trying to get the names in because I like it. I try to put the names up at the top so people know who they're watching. Well, you'll see sometimes the match will be going on. I'm still moving stuff on the screen because I got my the camera guy yelling at me. He goes, "Come on, turn it on. They're starting." I'm like, just leave me alone, man. I'm trying to get these names in.
Yeah, that's how we feel sometimes backstage too. So yeah, it's like, okay, when am I at? Okay, I'm after, and then you'll see the card and it's got like 14 scratches on it all over the place.
Yeah.
Like, okay, am I number 5 or number 6 or am I number 2 or I don't know. So they have to crumple up a piece of paper and then write it out again. And then they'll have to crumple that one up and do it out again. So yeah, it happens a lot. So
that card, the card I got from the first DCCW event, and this lady brought it up to me, and there's probably 4 or 5 things that were scribbled out, and then I looked at what was wrote in the paper and put that all there, and hell, I called one guy, his name was Zay, and we were calling him Zio, and then another guy from WCWO, they call him J Beeve, and we were calling him J Bean because that's what it said that's what we thought it said on the paper. And I'm like,
that's what it looked like. So yeah.
So I learned the next time when I got the card, I'd ask somebody, "Are you sure these are spelled right and everything?" So, because I feel bad when I'm calling a guy the wrong name.
Yeah, that's one of those things that it's hard to do because you'll see the guys and it's like, okay, now who's Christian Cash or we have the guys that'll come out and to do the the ring music and stuff or the ring announcing. It's like, okay, well, what's your name? Where are you from? That type of stuff. And you kind of have to get that to see that person and say, okay, that's Christian Cash. That's Justin Terrell. That's Travis Southern. That's Brody Botkins. That's Chris Cav. Those you just have to put 2 and 2 together. And a lot of times they don't, it's hard to get that if you have a guy running back saying, okay, put your information down. And then he runs it up. And then another guy comes back to, okay, what's your music? Okay. And then coming back, okay, what's your, who's coming out with you? Who's coming out first? And you have multiple people doing that. It's an interesting procedure trying to run a show for sure.
And the second time we went and done DCCW, it was a lot easier too because we knew who the wrestlers were, most of them. You know what I mean? Because we had seen them that last time, so it made it a lot.
Well,
we knew who they were, what their character was. So then it made it even more easier.
Getting the guys and also go doing the podcast with the guys.
Yeah,
you'll be able to say, oh, hey, because you're talking to people for an hour, 2 hours, in some cases 3 hours, Christian. But you'll be able to be a little bit more familiar with them as you go along. So which is good too, especially if you're going to as many shows as you plan on going to.
Yeah.
So you'll get a lot of experience with knowing who the people are. So.
Well, that's why I'm excited about going to these new places because I'll get to see a lot of new wrestlers that I haven't seen, and that'd be maybe opportunity to get them on. And
yep.
Plus, I'm just a wrestling fan, and I like if we can find a good show to go to. Me and Dad will go, and then my girlfriend, I done got her son hooked on it now, so he usually goes with us.
Nothing wrong with that. The more the merrier.
And now I'll get my son. He finally has weekends off, so he's going to start going back to him with us.
Good. So
that's what we used to do all the time when he was a kid.
Yep.
Independent wrestling shows because we'd find the ones like that. We took him to see Brutus the Barber Beefcake, and anytime we knew there was a legend around, we'd all go.
Oh, for sure. Those are the best. Especially if you can get them when they're being in there entertaining. The guys that are the entertaining kind.
Yeah.
Like the Boogeyman. I know that there's a lot of kids love that character. So being able to, and I've seen him he is a very entertaining person for sure. So.
Yeah. That time he was at the DCCW. Now, I wouldn't do what half those people did, but it was. I mean, it was cool though. He put. I mean, he put on the show, and I mean, everybody there, they got what they wanted out of seeing Boogeyman. They got to
Well,
see the
for sure.
worms and.
Yeah, I don't know if I could have done that.
The one dude laid back and he spit a worm in the dude's mouth, and I'm thinking, I don't know, especially if I'm not making no money. I don't know if I would do that.
That would have been hard to fathom doing that. So,
and that was just some of the fans.
Oh, for sure.
Like,
yeah, I mean, well, even wrestling. You know, so I mean, I remember him in when he was in WWE and being the guys that were going up against him. And I was like, man, I don't know if I could do that. Have him all the worms and everything. I mean, there's some things that I would definitely want to do, but I would definitely have to get paid for sure. So,
what's the hardest bump that you've probably taken?
I actually I was wrestling a guy in Southern Indiana, and it was only like his second or third match, and he would try to do a move, and I tried to protect him because he was gonna hurt himself. Well, I ended up giving myself a concussion, and I don't remember how the match ended or how I got back in the ring and or back to the locker room. And there was literally like 5 minutes that I have no recollection of what happened because I got back to the back in the first thing I remember is the guy that trained me. He was staring and he was talking to me, and I was sitting there and I was just staring at him. And he was like, he looking at me. He was looking at me and he goes, Travis. And I was kind of, yeah. He goes, are you all right? And I'm like, I kind of look around and say, how did I get back here? And he goes, oh, you got your first concussion. Awesome. You know, he was like, yeah, I mean, he could see that I could get it, but I actually had to watch the match on tape to see how the match ended. And I ended up having to take a choke slam as part of the match because there was interference in the match. So after I won the match and pinned the guy, I got attacked and got choke slammed. And then I still had to roll out and then, get carried back to the back, and I have no recollection of that entire thing happening. So for me, that was scary, knowing that there was a time when something happened that I have no memory of at all of it happening.
I had that happen in high school in wrestling. At practice, we went off the mat, and they have like them double doors, and like the door jam in the middle. It was like still. And we went off the mat, and I went head first into it, blacked out. I came back too, and I finished practicing, and then took a shower, was on the way home, and then my buddy was driving. I had rolled out. I was puking everywhere outside the car on the way home. So mom and dad ended up taking me to the hospital because I just was puking all night long. Like it didn't matter.
Yeah,
it was a concussion.
Yeah, luckily I didn't get sick. It's just the fact that I had a really bad headache, and
you can't remember nothing.
You just felt like I woke up, and I'm like, how did I get back to the back? I mean, when I'm out wrestling in the match, and then the next thing I know, it's like somebody hit pause on my life and then hit the pause button again and start it back up. It's scary. I mean, that's one of the sad parts about it, because anytime you do this kind of stuff, I mean, there's always a chance of getting hurt. But
have you suffered any like big injuries? Obviously, besides that, but.
I've cracked ribs. Cracked ribs before. I've messed up my shoulder. I ended up getting bone spurs from wrestling that ended up kind of led into. I ended up tearing my Achilles tendon, which is most painful thing that I've ever had happen before. It wasn't technically wrestling related, but it was because it was caused from the bone spurs in my heel, from the boots and doing everything. And but that kind of led to like a 2-year layoff from wrestling while I was healing from that. So, but the biggest one in the ring is I cracked a couple ribs and then the concussion. Those are the two like in ring injuries I've had.
When you coming back from an injury like that, you said you was out for like 2 years. How long does it take when you first get back in there? where it's not in the back of your head about, hey, is this going to happen again? Or
Well, it's actually funny because I went to a legend show that Hog was working security, and I just happened because we had, of course, worked together back in the day before I got hurt and stuff. And he was like telling me that he was running in Kokomo, and I was like, and said, I think I want to get back in doing this. And he was like, hey brother, come back in whenever you're ready. Just let me know, and I'll get you on a show. And it took me a little bit to get up the courage to finally get, it's like, okay, I'm going to do this and I'm going to go do it. And it's up until that first match. I mean, before you get back in the ring, I mean, you're always thinking. I mean, I always think about what's going to happen if I re-injure myself. But I try not to do anything where I know that I'm going to get hurt. I mean, I don't do any stupid moves because I'm like I said, I'm almost 50 years old. So for me, it's more of a ground and pound type of thing, and I'll do some high impact stuff in the ring, but I don't like doing a lot of stuff to where I could purposely hurt myself. So I know how my body tells me what I can do and what I can't do. So I'm pretty smart about that anymore because I want to be able to enjoy my grandkids and my family, or and still have a good decent life. So.
Has your mentality on that changed as you've been in the business longer?
Yeah. I always wanted to do more than I probably should have when I was younger. So when you're first starting out, you feel like you can do anything. So you try to do stupid stuff and try to look cool. And I had to have people talk me down on some things because I was like, oh, I want to do the elbow drop from the ring apron like Nick Foley does. And I did that one time and my hip hurt so bad. And I'm like, okay, I'm not doing it anymore. And the guy's like, yeah, I told you not to do that. I was like, yeah, but it looks cool. Yeah, okay, but you're not making, back in 2002, you're making $20-$30. Do you really want to walk with a limp for the rest of your life for doing something stupid like that
for $20?
Like, yeah, it's like it looks cool and it's something that nobody cares. Something that you do in front of it, they may think, oh, that's cool. But the only person that suffers from it is you. The only one that's going to have a memory of it really is you. So I did it one time, and that was enough. But yeah, for me, it's more about telling a story than trying to hit as many high spots as I can. Because if I tell a story, you're going to remember that more than me hitting a flip over the top rope or something. So because everybody does that. But if I can tell a story and get you involved in a storyline, you're going to remember that, and you're going to want to come back and see how it concludes.
Was it hard to learn, like to lay there, like if somebody's on the ropes going to jump on you, to lay there and not to move?
You get used to it. I've had guys, like do leg drops from the top rope, and their ass hitting in the face, and that hurts.
Yeah.
You learned to trust the guys that you're working with. So, there are certain people that I will let them do things to me in a match that there are others that I won't because I don't know them well enough. There's certain people like as much as I dig on Christian, he has a lot of leeway when we work matches to be able to do things because I know that he's not going to do stupid stuff to purposely try to hurt me to try to look cool. He's not trying to do a move just to try to do a move. He's trying to tell a story too. So Justin's the same way. I feel like Brody would be that way if we ever did have to work a match together. I feel like a lot of those guys do want to take care of you because they're not out to hurt. It's telling a story. We're not trying to kill each other. In some cases, but it's all about making something look impactful without being impactful.
And if you guys work together some, it makes everything better for everybody because it's going to be a better match. So then the fans are going to be happier. Then they're going to come back, which is better for you guys, and just
for sure. So if you get people, I felt like in in Kokomo, the storyline with me and Christian and Brody and Justin, I mean, and Shane, the 5 of us all together. I mean, it's been going on for almost a year now, and it's every time that we have a show, there's a different page, a different chapter that's being set up, and it's always something different. So, I mean, it started out with me, dropping Christian, and then it turned out that Justin and Brody had an issue. So then Brody and I got together to go against those two, and then the fans bring the weapons match, and then the tag titles, and then all this other stuff. All this stuff is kind of interwoven in the match, and people want to come back and see, especially if you have a storyline that's going on for over a year. People want to see what happens. They want to know what's going on, and if you can tell a decent story, you don't have to worry about it gets boring. So that's the best thing that I feel like. That's why I enjoy what we're doing in Kokomo, and I really want it to continue because we have so many more stories that are in with this group of people that we can include other people. Now we just included Kai Maho. So at the show, Christian was running his mouth and Kai choked him out, and he literally wanted to hurt Christian because of all the talking that Christian does. And we had to basically, he got kicked out of the match because he got DQ'd because he didn't want to let go. But Christian brought that on himself, and Kai didn't care. So he didn't care to get kicked out because he got to choke out Christian. And for him, that was worth it.
And Kai's a big dude.
He is. He's a very strong man. He's the strongest man in the ACW. So like I said, I'm glad he's on our side because I definitely feel sorry for anybody else that wants to cross him, for sure.
And he definitely looks the part. I mean,
he does. Well, he lives the part. So if you've seen on his Facebook page, if you see his workout regimen, the weights that he lifts, he's a strong dude.
I know my dad. My dad was real impressed with him. My dad said he could go somewhere.
And he's just starting out. I mean, he's not really a wrestling fan. I mean, he's more in it for the bodyguard aspect of it for me. But he's getting better. He's coming into the shows and stuff. He's got potential. I mean, everybody keeps talking about it, and I just got to get him to understand how great he could be too. So he's another one that could be, if he really wanted to, he could be amazing.
Yeah, you guys have some good talent there at AECW. Like I said, we enjoyed the show. Yeah. But I haven't since we've been going back to shows. I haven't been to a show that I haven't liked. Though. I mean, WCW puts out a good product. DCCW, they put out a good product.
I mean, there's a lot of talent out there, and it's hard to see everybody. But I mean, especially with you going out and checking out all the different feds, you're going to see a lot more talent, and there's a lot of talent out there. So
I never know there was this many organizations in Indiana.
Yeah, I just wish there was more up in like the northeast section, because everything that like I go to is more south or more west. Fort Wayne area. I wish there was a more consistent fed up there. I mean, there's a couple feds that run every once in a while, but it's more of a one-off than anything else. Because there's a lot of talent in the Fort Wayne area, Bluffton, Huntington, Decatur area. I mean, there's a lot of amateur wrestling that's really good in this area that I think that could be exposed to professional wrestling and have a lot of good talent there coming from this area too. So,
oh yeah, that's one reason why we want to go up to Mishawaka is because we haven't been up to that area. Whole new area.
Tons of fed in that area, but I personally think HW is one of those, so I think you'll enjoy that one.
That's the one that we're planning on because that Chris Owens was talking to me about that too. Was HCW?
Yep.
When he came
he's there. He's the heavyweight champion right now.
Yeah,
so
yeah. He brought the belt here with him.
Yeah, not to toot my own horn, but I was the longest reigning HCW champion. So he's, it's okay that he's the champ now, but he's got some big boots to fill. Let's put it that way. So
Did he beat you for the belt?
he did not. I was beaten by Tony Thunder, and then Tony Thunder had it for about 6 months, 8 months, and then Chris just beat him. He won they had a tournament, number one contenders tournament. He won that, and then he won it from Tony after that. So
I know he spoke real highly of that organization too, HCW.
Yep. Yeah.
Brody was telling me about ICW. I'm gonna go check that out.
Yep. I haven't worked there, but I've been to a couple of their shows, and they have some really good. They have, again, really good talent there too. So.
And Brody talked like he thought that he could get me, be able to get me in there as well. So I was like, okay, that'd be cool too.
Yeah. So the more you can get, the better, man. I'm telling you, there's so much out there that I think that you guys in particular, especially with the ability to like put your stamp on it and give people an opportunity to see all these other feds. I mean, I think that's great. So I think it'll actually be a benefit for everybody.
So that's what we were hoping.
Yeah.
Because if it's a benefit for everybody, it's easier to keep reaching out and expanding.
Yep, exactly. So yeah, I'll definitely, like I said, I'll definitely put my 2 cents in for you guys for HCW. So I think you guys would enjoy that up there. So.
Yep. Who was Austin? It was Aaron Atlas's brother. He runs hybrid championship wrestling.
Oh yeah.
We're going down there the 28th to go check out one of their shows. We're going to watch because they already have somebody that does like commentary for them, because what they do, they record it, then do commentary because it's on that IWTV.
Yep.
But I think we have it worked out. He's gonna let me because Hollywood House and Andy Sturm, they're doing the commentary there. I think they're gonna let me. I think they're gonna let me jump on with them for one match or something while we're up there at that show.
Well, that'd be cool.
We're gonna go, but yeah, he invited us up there to come check it out, and so me said, well, yeah, we can talk. We'll be able to do something together. I said, yeah, we can. So we'll figure something out.
Cool. Yeah. As I said, the more the merrier. The better. The more that you can get out there and see stuff, I mean, the better it's going to be for everybody. So I think that's good.
Is your goal now just basically to help the younger talent?
Yeah, I mean, I've done a lot of stuff in the business that I can be proud of. I've held a lot of championships. I've been in a lot of great factions and tag teams and a lot of good rivalries and stuff. So for me, looking back, I really don't regret anything. For me, it's more about now. It's about getting other people to where they want to be, and if somebody wants to work with me, I'll be more than happy to work with them and try to get them better. I'd like to think that I have a lot of knowledge that I don't have as much of experience like going around the world or doing a lot of stuff like Conga Kong or Jake Omens or anything like that, but just being in the business for as long as I have, I mean, I can kind of give some pointers to people. I feel like that's always, giving back, because I liked it when people did that for me when I was coming up. So
yeah, it feels good to give back too. I coached high school wrestling for 10 years, and then I haven't done it for probably about 10 years. Well, just started last week. I started running a kids program, pre-K to fifth graders. One of my buddies is the high school coach here, and he wrote me into it. He said, "Hey, can you come up and show some stuff one day to the high school?" Then next thing I know, now I'm running the kids program. But he knew what he was doing. He knew once I got up there, I'd get hooked again.
Yep, once it's back in your blood again, it's hard to get out.
Yeah, I was up there 5 minutes, and I was like, "Yep, man, I miss this." Well, I was used to doing. I've done little kids too, but I was more used to the high school. And, man, you get them real little kids. It's fun, but it could be a challenge.
I bet. I mean, they want to learn. So I mean, it's they're just fountains. They're sponges. They just
Yeah.
want to soak it up. So
Yeah, you have your ones you can tell are paying attention. You have your other ones that can't sit still yet or playing around. It's like, so you got to kind of try to separate them a little bit so you can work at the right speed for everybody.
for sure.
But it's
Yep.
fun.
Yeah, no, we have to do that in professional wrestling too. We have the ones that like Brody, and then the ones like Christian. So
can't even talk. Do you have anything you'd like to plug or anything before we get out of here?
just I have Travis Southern on Facebook, Travis Southern on YouTube. Not really as much as I would like to have on there because I gotta do a little bit more editing on some stuff. But AACW, HCW starting up first of the year. Definitely check that out. DCCW for Mike King and his Fed. Hopefully, everything works out. You'll be able to see me on there. But for sure, check out these Feds. I mean, there's a lot of talent, and we want to put on good shows, and I feel like we do put on good shows. But you're definitely getting your money's worth when you come out to any of these Feds. So
yeah, I know any of them I've been to here lately. I've left happy. Pretend like you can't even go watch a movie for the price that I paid to go watch pro wrestling. So it's,
yep, and then you're getting a lot more entertainment than you'd actually expect. So yeah, for sure.
Hell, I go to the movies. I can lay back in them reclining chairs and take a nap.
Where's the fun in that? You want to have the jump out of your chair and do something.
That's what I'm saying. Well, that's what I'm saying though. Hell, I could stay at home and take a nap in my recliner.
Exactly. So yeah, for sure, definitely a better experience for you.
All right. Well, I appreciate you joining us. And
hey, I appreciate it.
Hey, if you ever want to come back on again, you're more than welcome to.
I appreciate it. So thanks for having me, and thanks again, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and let me know about when you guys are getting back started there up north.
Definitely, I'll send you some information. So.
All right, sounds good.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Thanks for being on.
No problem. Peace out.
Peace.